Okay, so today is Wednesday, October 23rd, and we are going to do a 3-card tarot card spread, and then I will try and answer, I will try and explain what the cards are meaning for us intuitively, and I will also give a little bit of feedback as to what the cards mean in the authenticity of what the cards mean overall. So I usually when I do my readings, I usually like to ask people to just take a moment. Oh my goodness, the Emperor always pops out. To just take a moment to think about something that you want to come out in the reading. And if you're just open to receiving whatever it is. Somebody asked me today if, I don't know if she said if the meanings could be for everybody or how could the meanings be for everybody. I'm not quite sure exactly how she said it, but I said, when I started doing the 3-card reading, I was unsure if people would relate or connect to the card reading in general, but I think it's like an overall reading, and you take from it what will resonate with you. Maybe one card will resonate with you, maybe all 3 cards will resonate with you, and from there you see how it fits in your life. The cool thing is overall, we've been getting a lot of feedback from people saying that what we talk about today will expose itself or reveal itself in the next 48 hours. So we have a little bit of a timeline right now, where in the past, I've never really had an opportunity to have a timeline. So that's really exciting. All right, so I'm going to shuffle one last time. I used to not be a knocker. I teach the tarot in the shop, and I was telling the group in the years past, I was never a knocker. I was never like a person who felt the need to knock. But lately I've noticed just innately that I've been knocking on the cards, and I think maybe somebody pointed it out to me. So now it's something I've become aware of that I do. So the first card that we pulled tonight is the 5 of Swords. And the 5 of Swords is about, what I'm feeling intuitively about it is that you feel almost that you have to protect yourself from people that you're close to. Maybe you typically, interesting. Maybe typically you feel like you can reveal all of yourself and share all of yourself with your loved ones, or maybe your partner or your children. But for some reason right now you feel that it might be best if you hold back just a little bit so that you can do the work, you can see things come to fruition without almost like, say there's a big announcement and you have this big announcement and you start to tell people, and then maybe in the back of your mind you're like, oh my goodness, I hope I don't jinx it. It's kind of like when a woman becomes pregnant and she's early on in her pregnancy. They usually say, don't share that you're pregnant until you're 3 months, because God forbid, cancel, clear, delete, that something happens. It's better not to tell everybody if, God forbid, something doesn't, follow through with the pregnancy. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like you don't want to tell people about the good in your life right now. You don't want to tell them about what you're working on, what your plan is, what you're manifesting. Maybe you're afraid of jinxing it. Maybe you're afraid that it won't come true if you share it with somebody. Or maybe you're just afraid that there's a little bit of spite or negativity around it. This makes me feel like you need to protect yourself from those that you've always had a close relationship with, but for some reason right now you feel like you can't really necessarily trust them wholeheartedly. So you're kind of picking up the pieces of either the beginning of this new chapter, or maybe you're in the middle and you're collecting, some education or some tools about what you're going to do moving forward, but you're doing it quietly and swiftly, and you're not allowing people to know exactly what you're doing, not every move at least. So that way, when you're all done and it's all said and done, you have almost like a finished product. So instead of telling them about the beginning stages or the middle stages, at the end, you're just like, look what I've done, look at this accomplishment. So it makes me feel like also like you kind of have to guard yourself from it. And I'll reveal all 3 cards at the very, very end. I'll show you, we're using the Waite Tarot deck. I'll show you exactly what we pulled. The second card that we used is the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. And the Nine of Pentacles is about, wow, it really goes hand in hand with the first card that we pulled. That's very interesting. So the Nine of Pentacles is about building, you know, like if I was to use the word empire, empire could be anything. You could think about empire being tremendous on a large scale. Like if I said I was building my empire and I was, you know, like a person on the Forbes list of, you know, the top 100 richest people in the world, you would think an empire would be billions. But if you're someone who came from nothing and you're starting to build a life for yourself, having your empire could be someone who gets to see their first, you know, $100,000 in the bank. That could be your empire. I mean, the level of what somebody considers the empire can be very different from somebody else. So it makes me feel like card number 2 goes hand in hand with card number 1. You're starting to build your empire, and you're doing it not really just for yourself, but for everybody. You're doing it for community. You're doing it for your family. It's not done from ego. It's not done from selfishness. It's done from the place of being of service. But there is a warning that comes up with this. It's about being careful in sharing too much information with people. Like as you start to save and as you start to tuck away, people can become envious or jealous of you. So it would be important for you at this time to kind of just, you know, stay humble, stay true to who you are. I'm sure that's who you are. But make sure that people don't think that as you're building your empire or as you're earning this money, that the money is going to change you. Because what someone's perception of you is not something that you can control. So you may know in your heart that the money is not going to change you, that you're doing it for you. Maybe you're doing it for your spouse, your partner, your children, whatever the case might be. And then you're taking it above and beyond, making sure everybody has enough, but then helping somebody else, maybe who has less than you or is struggling and you want to surprise them. But you may be being perceived as being greedy or jealous or whatever the case might be. They may not understand the place that you're coming from. So be mindful about who you're sharing that information with, because it is coming up as a warning sign. But I will say that I see the true there we go with my words, authenticity in this card, in the fact that there's a lot of passion driving you, and that the universe recognizes that you've been, you know, pushing through this through your passions. It's not coming from a place of needing to have more than somebody else. It's coming from your passion to want to help other people grow and find their goals if you can make someone else's life easier. Interesting. We're coming from the Nine of Pentacles. The third card that we pulled is the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is about coming together as a celebration, reuniting, completing an emotional turmoil or emotional cycle. It's the joining of families, friends. It's a cause for celebration. Here we see the image of people, and I will show, again, I mentioned before, I will show the cards at the end, people coming together as a time for celebration. The card is reversed, so maybe this was something that should have happened already. Maybe you were looking for a new relationship to come in or a change in the relationship and you feel like you missed the opportunity. That time is now. It's letting me know that the time is now. So it's something, it's not that it's not going to take place because it's reversed. It's something that you felt that you missed the opportunity and you thought you weren't going to get it back. And now the universe is saying, no, this is now the proper timing and now you will get it. So it's not that you were never going to get it. It's more so that the timing wasn't right and now the universe is ready to give it to you. So sometimes when we say like we need to dig deep and stay strong and stay on our path, and yesterday we were talking about not always worrying about doing so much, more so about being in this present space. And then one of the people on the live feed had reached out to me on Instagram on the DM saying, or sharing rather, a post about basically what we had talked about on the live feed. I hadn't seen the post. I think it was like a day or two old. And I was like, wow, it's really true, because we were discussing about how we always feel like if we want to be growing as a person, that we should actively be doing something, you know, making a new beginning, going through transformation. And then while that is wildly exciting and liberating, it's not always the case, because today's energy could be yesterday's, like, how do I say that? I know what I want to say in my mind's eye, but it never comes out of my mouth properly. Yesterday, we could have said, I want to change. And then here we are today, and we're in the change. That doesn't mean we need to change again for tomorrow. We can just be active in this energy and just stay here, reside here, be still, be in this space, acknowledge where we were yesterday and not worry about it. Notice that we just moved gently from yesterday to today, and not really even worry about tomorrow. Just stay here and celebrate these moments. Whether you do it quietly, whether you do it excitedly, just appreciate, the space that you're in today. And if you haven't really shifted from yesterday or a week ago or a month ago, and you feel like now is your time, then yes, now is your time. The knowing will be inside of you. It won't be something that you'll have to overthink. Anything that comes quick through psychic work, like I teach a class on psychic development, and a lot of things that I used to say to the students were, if it comes fast, if it just comes like a download, that's the one you should trust. If you look at a card and you don't know intuitively what it is, and you start to look at the card and look at the card, hoping something is going to jump out at you, chances are that's like your ego or your brain searching for something. So when you look at a card and you're working off of intuition, and that's how I really typically like to do my readings, is work strictly off of intuition, but because I also want my students to learn, or my viewers to learn, at the end I'll always give like a little information on the tarot. But it's so important that we trust our intuition. But that intuition comes like a gut instinct. So if you feel like in that moment you know what you're supposed to say to somebody, or you feel in that moment that this is the story that the card is telling you, then go with it. Because chances are if you spend too long on it, your mind feels obligated to put a picture or tell a story about it. So, you just go with it. So it's the same thing about what we were just talking about a moment ago. About knowing if now is the time that you have to make the change. If you have to overthink it, then I would say it's probably not the time. If instinctively you wake up and you're like, today's the day, I have to make the change, I have to move forward, I'm getting ready to transform, or I know I need something and I don't know exactly what I need to do, just acknowledge it to the universe. The universe will hear it, reciprocate it, and send it to you. So that is our 3-card spread. I will show you the cards. This is the 5 of Swords. It was forward facing. This is the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. I always say, like, once you see it reversed, look at it forward facing and then look at it again. Because reverse doesn't mean opposite. Reverse just means something has changed. It's not what it was, it's just something has changed. And then that's so strange because it was the number 9. We went on to the number 10 of Cups, and that was also reversed. So this is the 10 of Cups forward facing, and then this is it reversed. So, I invite you to email me, or you can hit me up on Instagram and send any questions or comments that you might have. I will tell you that in the tarot, so there are 56 cards that is called the minor arcana. Okay, there's 22 of the major arcana. We got 3 out of 56 cards. Well, we got 3 out of all the cards out of 78 cards came up as the minor arcana. So that's like we're doing our work. We're actively working, right? We're not really taking ownership as a role. We're doing our work. We're getting ready to find where we are as like an archetype, right? So the number 5 in the tarot can sometimes be a bit chaotic, and that did come up as being a part where you have to feel, a part where you feel like you have to protect your energy at this time from people that are close to you. And then the number 9 is in the tarot, it's like you're getting ready to end a cycle. You're getting ready to complete something. So that was funny because we just read intuitively off that card that the 9 of Pentacles in reverse was that you are building an empire. So it's like you haven't built it. It's not totally done yet. You're still working on it. And then the 10 of Cups, 10 means you've completed the cycle. And that was perfect because we were talking about that there was a celebration that you thought you missed an opportunity. So maybe when you thought that this celebration was going to happen. You thought that you were ready for it because you thought you were at the end of the cycle, but maybe you didn't check in with yourself wholeheartedly, because sometimes we just want what we want, and we know our logical mind won't always let us take over, because our passionate mind is like, no, I want this, I want this. And sometimes the timing is just right, and the universe knows so much better than we do. So we feel frustrated. We feel like we missed the opportunity. But the card is saying, like, now is your opportunity. It's the 10 of Cups. You get all clear. But the opportunity before, when you wanted it, it wasn't the right timing. And the universe always has a way of showing us that divine timing. Okay, so we do the live feed about 5 or 6 nights during the week. I will be keeping them on the Instagram stories for 24 hours. So if you, want to check it out from the beginning on there, you can. And I will be uploading the videos onto the YouTube channel, and I will share that information on the story as well. So I thank everyone who has joined us in the YouTube community as I say goodbye to all of you, and then I will go on and spend some time with our Instagram community, which is Breathe Inspiring Gifts.